Episode 5, Bridges and Barriers. Previously on the Cracked Plate, Jimmy took his first steps toward self-awareness by attending an emotional menu workshop, uncovering fears and unmet needs that had driven his actions. He reached out to Mia, letting her know he was trying to change, while Mia, still unsure, found herself moved by his effort but hesitant to let her guard down. Both remain on separate journeys, wondering if the cracks in their relationship can truly be mended. Jimmy sat in his car outside the workshop, gripping the steering wheel. The session had ended 15 minutes ago, but he couldn't bring himself to drive home. The facilitator's words still echoed in his mind. Understanding your emotions is just the first step. The real growth comes when you face the people you've hurt, and yourself, with honesty and vulnerability. Jimmy took a deep breath, scrolling through his phone to reread the text he'd sent Mia 2 days ago. "I'm trying." Her response had been brief. "I hope you are." It wasn't rejection, but it wasn't forgiveness either. The truth was, he didn't know how to bridge the gap. He wanted to show her he was changing, but every time he thought about reaching out, the fear of saying the wrong thing, or worse, hearing what she really thought, froze him in place. He exhaled sharply and started the engine. One step at a time, he told himself. Across town, Mia sat on a park bench, scrolling aimlessly through her phone. The day was warm, the air filled with the sound of children laughing and birds chirping, but she felt none of it. Jimmy's message had thrown her off balance. She hadn't expected him to reach out, let alone mention that he was taking a class. Her sister's words replayed in her mind. "Give him the chance to surprise you." But what if this was just another false start? She had seen him try before, only to slip back into old patterns when things got hard. Mia sighed, rubbing her temples. Why is this so complicated? A notification lit up her screen. It was Jimmy. "Hey, I'd really like to talk when you're ready." Her heart skipped. She stared at the message, torn between curiosity and caution. The next evening, Jimmy paced the living room, his phone in his hand. He had sent the message hours ago, and Mia still hadn't replied. He tried to focus on the notes he had taken from the workshop, flipping through phrases like, "Name the fear," "Accept discomfort," "Take responsibility without expecting immediate results." But the waiting was eating at him. Finally, his phone buzzed. "Mia, we can talk tomorrow. What time is 6 p.m.? Jimmy's shoulders sagged in relief. "That works. Thanks, Mia." The following evening, Mia sat across from Jimmy in a quiet cafe. It was the first time they had seen each other since she left. Jimmy looked nervous, his hands fidgeting with the edge of his coffee cup. Mia felt a pang of guilt, but quickly pushed it aside. "Thanks for meeting me," Jimmy began, his voice soft. Mia nodded, her face guarded. "I wasn't sure if I should." Jimmy swallowed hard. "I get that, and I know I've let you down, more times than I can count. But I'm trying to figure out why I keep doing that. Why I shut down when things get hard." Mia tilted her head. "And what have you figured out so far?" He hesitated, his voice cracking slightly. "That? I'm scared. Scared of failing you. Scared of not being enough. And instead of dealing with it, I just avoid it. But I see now that avoiding it only made things worse." Mia's eyes softened, though her expression remained cautious. "That's a good start, Jimmy. But you know words aren't enough anymore, right?" He nodded. "I know, and I'm not asking you to come back or forgive me right away. I just want you to know I'm working on it. For me, not just for us." The sincerity in his voice caught Mia off guard. She took a deep breath. "Okay, then I'll keep working on myself too." They sat in silence for a moment, the tension between them easing slightly, like the first crack of sunlight after a storm. Jimmy and Mia take tentative steps toward rebuilding trust, but old fears and habits threaten to resurface. Will their individual growth bring them closer, or will the weight of their past pull them apart again? Tune in to The Cracked Plate, Episode 6, A Fragile Truce.